Hello, everybody. How are you? I'm Dale Pinkert. Didn't ask me how I am today, and I'll tell you this. I'm as brilliant as a diamond. You better put on your shades. How's everyone doing today? So, I'm getting a heads up from Cyric. I just want to show everyone that I talked about the euro popping a little bit. Couldn't even get back to 1080. But we do have the second drive here, and this time we are diverging. Whether this is it or we rally one more time to get a third drive, I would not be short euro anymore. You may not want to trade the second drive and bottom pick it here, which I think is a okay shot, but you don't want to be short here. How's everyone doing today? Cyric gave us a heads up right away in euro. He's probably saying the same thing. How are you, Cyric? Yeah, it looks like it completed a harmonic pattern, or yeah, it's a harmonic, bullish butterfly. Okay, butterflies fly free. And Muhammad Ali said, I'll float like a butterfly and I'll sting like a bee. Who remembers that? Who's as old as me? Muhammad Ali, float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Thank you, Cyric. Good start. He came in early to give us a heads up. Tell me that's not a guy who cares about the community. Thank you, Cyric. Hi, Roland. Tosin. Someone shows up early to show you a chart that is actionable. Is somebody who really cares about the people that he collaborates with every day. That makes you the man today, Cyric. You're generous. Your generous giving spirit and caring about the community. Hi, Jax. Timbo, how are you? Timbo's going to probably wait for another drive here. But I nominate Cyric for all the great work and for him caring about how people are positioned when he sees something to prevent people from getting hurt, and also giving them some input that might be actionable with their own work. So today, Cyric, you are the man. Everyone congratulate Cyric for his great example of what it means to be part of a community. Thank you, Cyric. You're the man. How you doing, Ziggy? Congrats, Cyric. Congrats, Cyric. And here's a great representation of what LAR is by Ziggy, one of Ziggy's tweets today. Hey, crew. Doug, how are you? So look at that. The family that trades together stays together. Thank you, Ziggy. Yeah, I didn't sing it. I might sing it later, Roland. You know, there's a link for it, so you could play it all the time. There's a link. Thank you, Ziggy. I agree with this. The family community that trades together stays together. And you know what? It's not just a saying, it's manifested in reality. You've been here over 2.5 years. Many people have been here for over 2.5 years. I still talk to people who joined us when we were beta testing LAR. So this is not just, you know, a hopeful saying. It's a reality. Thank you, Zig. It's very true. So Euro looks to be coming out of the hole. I think there's some big news in oil coming up here. Looks like it still wants to blow. Even though it pulled back a little, was a pretty. Sinatra, how are you? The 3 drive in the guppy might be completing here. Yeah, I think you're right, Tosin. Yeah. Look, here's the guppy. Here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3 in the guppy down here. So I drew this line yesterday. It tagged it exactly. Exactly tagged it. See that? Why are you removing messages, Sinatra? All right, so we talked about it yesterday. Here it is. We're all captains of our own ship. Oh, aliens got the euro yen. Looking for a failing rally. It's so oversold. There is some divergence down here too. What's your ultimate target? What's your ultimate target in euro yen? Under 120? Alien? Under 120? If this is a breakdown here, it'd be big, right? Call it 26 to 41. Give you like 110, 111. Is that possible? 110 euro yen? Long term? Okay, because it measures more like down to 110. That's a huge triangle breakdown. If you measure the full length of the triangle, okay. You're hesitant because of crude, and I'm afraid I'm going to miss something in crude because I got out at the last high. I think Tolson's right, but I'm having a hard time reaching it. Wore me out. Gas is popping a little bit here, Tolson. SW, are you in the house? Who's here today? We have a great interview today. Raghee Horner. She's very famous. How are you, JM? Mystic, Cyric, Ibby's back. Hi, Carlos, Timbo, Joe, Malcolm. Malcolm, long time. How are you, Jay? Nice to see your handle. Alien Jax, Fame. How are you? FX Street Video, FX Street Administrator, Roland. Risk came back. How are you, Risk? Ziggy, Ali, Tosin, Sinatra, Abel, my friend, Jake, Doug, MRC, and Addenda. How's everyone doing today? How are my trading warrior brothers and sisters doing today? Let's have a great day. So, anyone follow Raghee Horner's work or have heard of her before? Okay, so you're almost down there, 115, 112 possible. Okay. So plenty of downside after this bounce. Back to 26. 1,000 pips. 1,000 pips. Thank you, Aileen. Nice work. Whoops. I got rid of it. Ricardo's having some power issues. You should tweet that in my stream, Jax. I'll retweet it for you. You retweet my stuff. You could tweet these in my stream if you like. There's Jack's look in Canada. This would argue that crude's going to come off again. Thank you, Jax. So just giving you the option, if you want to tweet your charts in my stream, you're very welcome to do so. Thank you, Jax. I only get when you, I only get them. I only get your retweets. Only get your retweets. So if you want to chart, if you want to send those tweets, you have to, I guess, mention me, right, Alien? Alien, tell Jax how he could get his tweets into my stream. I could tag him. See, I don't even know. Thank you, Jax. Poor Ricardo. Ricardo said he covered his short Kiwi at 6675. Still long Aussie Kiwi, looking for 109. Covered his short SPX at 1925. His long pound Kiwi, he closed. So, see, there's another example. So there's another example. Ricardo has a power failure, and he cares about what he talked about trading-wise in the community. So he Skyped me to make sure that you guys knew. Yeah, I am too, Jax. But isn't that cool that Ricardo's having internet issues and he cares enough to Skype me to update you on all of his calls yesterday? Give me a Y if you think that's great. So that's two people that did it. Sarah came in early, and Ricardo, even with technical issues, updates us on what he showed yesterday. See, so people really care. People really care about others in here. I'm telling you, you cannot find this anywhere else. Anywhere else. You think people care if you're the wrong way? That they're going to go out of their way to make sure if you took one of their trades that you're updated. Most don't care. They only care about their account. So I challenge anyone to find a community like this. There might be bigger communities numbers wise, but there's not a better community anywhere. In my extremely accurate and humble opinion. How you doing, Flash? What's happening, Flash? Okay, well, I hope we don't. I'd like to buy it again. There was supposed to be some kind of OPEC announcement today in the oil. Thought I heard that there was going to be some kind of announcement. Oh, good. That's a negative candle. So I think they might be disappointing. I hate missing things when I've been building positions for a month and making small change and not be there for the bigger paydays. So whatever OPEC official said, it was the market wasn't that happy about it, is the way it looks to me on this candle. How you doing, Joe, Malcolm? Timbo, any 3 drives you see? Wasn't Timbo, it was Tico. Tico hasn't been around in a while. Hello, Matthew. Welcome back, Matthew. BW, MRC, Jake, Doug. Ali, how are you? Risk, welcome back. Roland, how are you? FX Street Administrator, who are you? FX Street Video, who are you? Okay, that's what did it? All right. Joe, what's up? Ibby, how are you? Mystic? Forex Stop Hunter? I thought so. I'll take it. I'm just long a little natural gas now. So we'll see. Everyone doing okay? Ricardo said he's waiting for a long entry in the guppy. He's waiting for 56 to 57. Waiting for a long entry in euro if we get to 109.50. Everyone doing okay? So this should help the cause for Jax on his long CAD if we get under 32.50 here. Mystic is shorting it. You have a chart to show it? Thank you, Mystic. Everyone thank Mystic. That's his live trade call. You have a target? Downside target? Well, get over it. Get over it, Tosin. I'll tell you guys, I'm hearing more people talk about 3 drives and different broadcasts. There we go, another 3 drive. So a lot of people Like what I've taught them about 3-drive formations. I'm seeing more and more people talk about it, describe it in trades that they're following. Glad to have edified people about that formation. So what is this? Is this a bearish diamond or something? Bearish 4-point continuation trade. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Means it's going to pull back again. I like it, Zurich. Thank you. Gives me some clarity. I'll have another opportunity. So I don't think we'll make a new low before we get up to what the monthly resistance level. Where are those numbers? Okay, you got weekly and monthly up here. $39. Thank you, Zurich. You helped me a lot, Zurich. Thank you, Mystic. Thank you, Zurich. Take a look at Mystic. Okay, this is a short Canada trade. All right. Right here, stops. Thank you, Mystic. Nice look. Nice luck. Good hunting. Good hunting on that. I can't keep up with you guys today. Long yen trade from Jacks. Wow, all the way down there. Nice, Jacks. Nice trade, man. I think Jacks' short-term technical work is top shelf. If you agree with me, give me a why. He's one of the better day traders in here. You guys agree with me? Here's my why. And he sure is not gun shy. He's not gun shy. Sometimes I get gun shy. Thank you, Mystic. A lot of great. Alien tweeted that he was following my steps. I replied, I said, I'm following yours too. Many outstanding footprints here in LAR. Many outstanding footprints to follow in LAR. Give me a why if you agree with that statement. Here's mine. I don't even know how many good traders we have in here now. I used to try and say, oh, we have 8 or 10 or 15 or 20. I have no idea how many very good traders there are that are here on a regular basis as well as stop in occasionally. It's got to be near 30, 40 now. So who's familiar with Raghee Horner? Okay, maybe you'd like to do an interview one day. Maybe you'd like to do an interview and then you could address everybody. Like I said yesterday, any Larian, okay, Ali, I'm long. Any Larian that wants to share their work, like Alien and Ricardo have, and Armand has, in the opening hour, I'd be happy to talk to you guys. And you could share your work and have a discussion with me. And if you're not afraid, I'm willing to do it. Does she? Okay. I'd be happy to talk to Fame. I know you're joking, but I'm sincere. You know, it's a good experience for you to do it. It'll clarify your own trading when you talk about it and try and explain it to another. For I have said, what good is anything until you share it with another? Okay, Rick's back online and in the house. Thank you, Flash. Everyone thank Flash. His 1 hour Kiwi look. Thanks, Flash. Thinks Flash is a great addition to our community. He's been here on and off for a while, starting to show his work. Give me a Y if you think he's a great addition. There's mine. You don't have to. I would delete that from your software. Everyone give me a Y if they hear themselves saying this. I need to find a trade today. You're welcome. Whoever says that, I need to find a trade today. Give me an N if you do. If you hear yourself saying that, you need to delete that from your software. Okay, we're in the zone for the guppy here. According to Zurich's work, it's a bullish black swan. Wow. Bullish black swan that could take us back to 66. And we're in the zone right here. Nice look, Zurich, on the guppy. Everyone, there's plenty of stuff setting up in here, guys. Plenty of stuff. Well, that's what I mean. Okay. So you hear it in your head. That's not a good thought to have. Let the trades find you. Let the trades find you. I've never heard of a bullish black swan. Did you make that up, Zurich? So you don't need to find a trade today. The trade will find you. You won't be able to ignore it. Okay, well, those are the best trades when you can't ignore it. When you're searching for a trade, it's not a good trade. When you search for a trade, it's not a good trade. right? Good trades will find you because you won't be able to avoid what you see. They'll compel you to take risk. I believe you, Sarah. Yeah. Good trades find you. You can't avoid them. But when you're searching for a trade, it means it means that you don't see anything. It means that you don't see anything. Good one, Ziggy. So if you don't see anything, you don't do anything. Once your eye is trained, all you have to do is be patient and wait for it. And your eye will see it. Trust yourself. So what do? You get in your spaceship in your dream and fly away? That's a good one, Ziggy. PPP. Perfect pattern patience. Pinker's perfect pattern patience. Pinker's perfect pattern patience. There you go, Flash. Beautiful. Okay, that's the end of my lecture. Give me a Y if you get my drift. Okay. Hello, Artem. How are you doing, buddy? And remember, avoiding bad trades is more important than a winning trade. And anytime you're searching for a trade, I'm telling you, the probabilities are it's going to be a losing trade. Write that down. Put it on your screen. Don't search for trades. Let trades find you. Nice shot, Artem. So anyone aware or know of Raghee Horner of www.simpleforex.com? Everyone congratulate Artem on selling a 61.8 retrace in the Swiss yesterday. So when the euro made new lows, congratulations, Artem. Glad for you. So we celebrate everyone's victories in here. No one roots for anyone else's failure to rationalize their own inadequacies. How about an amen on that? We celebrate others' victories in here. Anyone who roots for others' failures is trying to rationalize their own inadequacies. Half the world doesn't care about your problems. The other half are glad you have them. Nice to meet you, Stephen H. Everyone welcome Stephen H. to our community. Yeah, Cyric showed a bullish pattern. I showed a second drive in euro. So we could rally and get a third, but I said at least don't be short. Everyone welcome Stephen to our community. How did you find us? Okay, guys, I'm going to take a 5-minute break. Stick around. We have an interview with Raghee Horner. Okay. I'll be back in 5. Stick around for our interview. You guys could continue to collaborate. I'll be back in a bit. Okay, I'm back. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Ziggy. Thank you, Sinatra. Here's a look from Jay. Euro. Looking for the 109s. Okay. I have something at 109.40. Everyone thank Jay. Here, I'll show you what I see. Thank you, Jay. So this is what I see in Euro, and I have some confluence there. Trying to remember where, maybe it's a 4 hour. Okay, see this? So we had the back test line up here, and we're approaching where it broke the daily downtrend here. See that? See this downtrend line that it broke? Comes in around 940. Give me a Y if you see it. You don't have to agree with it, but it's around 940. I had another line there that intersected. Okay. I'd like to see a rally first and then one more decline. You have a 3 driver here. So here's 1, and there's 2. Everyone doing okay? 50 pip cluster. All right. Everyone doing all right? Sticking around for, yeah. There you go, Doug. Or my Skype. Hello, Mashari. Nice to meet you. Everyone, welcome Mashari to our community. You're welcome. Everyone, welcome Mashari. Nice to meet you. Welcome to LAR. As you can see, what we do in here is we share our views via screenshots. We share our technical views. It's a live analysis room. You could either sit back and enjoy and watch and learn, or if you feel like participating, feel free to do so. Pretty safe environment. We're all captains of our own ship, so no one blames anyone for anything. Nice to meet you, Chris. Welcome to LAR. Welcome to the jungle. Everyone, welcome Chris from the UK. Nice to meet you. So Chris, this is what we do. We share our views via screenshots, potential setups that we're considering. Some offer some live trade calls. It's mainly a live analysis room. So we're sharing our analysis together. I don't hold myself out to be a trading messiah. A lot of people in here call me coach. So I'm just a coach. Thank you, Flash. So you got all this stuff in here. This was drive 1, drive 2. See if we get a third. Everyone thank Flash for that look on the euro. Thank you, Flash. IFX John, how are you? Abel's classic line, 2.5 years ago. It's expanded since then into other programming besides me. So it looks like we're going to head to 32.5. We have an excellent interview coming up here in the next, say, 20 minutes with Raghee Horner at Raghee Horner, www.simpleforex.com. Raghee's been trading since she was 17 years old. I'm not going to ask her how old she is now, but she started off pretty young. They made a dragon? God, dragons, black swans. You have quite the zoo there, Zurich. Mythical creatures and black swans and butterflies. We completed up here. And then we go down. I think someone was taking a short cat in here. I think it was Mystic. Mystic trying the short side of USD CAD. Thank you, Zurich. Oh, it's bullish. Okay. You were 20? That's pretty early. I've been saying for a few weeks, I think we're going to 141 in USD CAD. Would that take it to 141, 142? So CAD goes to 141, 142, and crude sells off, and that's where you short CAD, USD CAD, and buy the crude. That's what I'm waiting on. JM did a trade on the short side of Aussie today. Look at that, a 3 driver. What time frame? Rising wedge. Nice. I like it. I like it. Really nice look. Where do you learn how to do that? One hour? Where'd you learn how to do that, JM? Ricardo's been on the long side of Aussie Kiwi for a while. I think since the bottom of this triangle. Looks like it's headed for a breakout to the upside here. Nice, Rick. Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you, Sirik. Oh, here in LAR? Okay. So you learned something here in LAR. Thank you, Rick. Nice shot in Aussie Kiwi. Are you asking me, TJ? I only have 2 monitors. I don't have a spaceship. Thank you, everyone, for your great contributions today. Okay, thank you, Aileen. Stick around for Raghee. Welcome back, Solo. Hello, Pegasus. Long time. How are you, buddy? Okay, Alien, have a great one. Thank you, buddy. Thanks for your shares today. TJ, welcome to LAR. How you doing? How you doing, Ray? Matthew, Pegasus is in here. Hi, Peg. How have you been? Joe, how are you? Solo's back. We have a nice crowd today. Maybe it's for Raghee Horner. Can't be for me, could it? Who's the crowd here for? Maybe the crowd's here for LAR. Give me a Y if you're here for LAR. Tell me why you're here. What makes you come back day after day after day? For LAR? Huh. Right. You guys want to know why I'm here? For the Leopard song? False breakdown at 31. Thank you, Mystic. No kidding, Timbo. This is why I'm here, guys. I'm here for this. If you want to be a star, you need to show your charts in LAR. And if you need a new car, hang with us in LAR. If you rent but want to buy a house, you gotta be in LAR before you click your mouse. So if you wanna be a star, you gotta hang out in LAR. Or if you need a new car, watch us work in LAR. If your dream is to own your own house, be in LAR before you click your mouse. LAR, yeah. That's why I'm here. But I could play 3 chords. No, you guys make me better. You guys make me better. Really. Yes, it is 7 a.m. Oh, Jax, I know. I FedExed you Kleenex. I FedExed you a box of Kleenex. Jax, all right? Oh, thank you, Solo. No crying. I don't really play. But no crying. Big boys don't cry, Jax. Big boys don't cry. That's what I always heard. Big boys don't cry, Jax. Big boys don't cry, buddy. Okay. All right. Well, wow. Bad consumer confidence. So here's me, that's me doing my Elvis impersonation at the Coyote. So the dollar's probably coming off. All right, Sirik, let's do it. You're my partner on it. So did the dollar sell off on it? Not much yet. So if you want to, Jax, play that and tell me if that makes you cry. This. You really do? Okay, let's collaborate. Okay, let's do it. Stick around for Raghee Horner. So for a weak number, the dollar's not coming off much. All right. now I'm crying too. I'm sorry, Jax. I won't make you sad. I won't make you sad anymore, I promise. I won't make you sad. All right. Lar trading tunes, because it's not always the blues. Yeah, do you notice that, Jax? Pretty weak number, and the dollar didn't come off. Stick around for Raghee. I think I've heard of Andrew Tosh. Okay. Stick around for Raghee. She should be with us shortly. So I think we're going to get our pop out of the euro, delayed reaction to complete drive 2. If I missed showing anyone's screenshot, I'm sorry. I got distracted. Did I miss anybody's screenshot? Rick, did I miss one of yours? Oh, here it is. Here's Rick's guppy. Thought I missed a few when I was getting around. So Rick's looking for a minor bounce and then one more low here. That could happen. Get a bounce to 60 and then back down. But Rick's got the same line. Is this a daily? 4 hours, the same line. Nice look, Rick. I think that's a pretty valid line. Thank you, Rick. I miss anyone else's? I think I may have missed one by Mystic on his Canadian. This looks like a 3 drive here. 1, 2, 3 down. Okay, thank you, Mystic. Difference between pros and amateurs are pros know how to lose, so they have money left to be right with. The difference between pros and amateurs are pros know how to lose, so they have money left to be right with. Give me a Y on that one. Thank you, Jay. That's a good addition to it, Flash. It takes money to make money. That's for sure. So don't trade with your mortgage money, your rent money, your retirement money. If you can't afford, okay, thank you, Tosin. If you can't afford to lose all of your account balance like this in a heartbeat, it's not risk capital. Imagine the balance in your account being wiped out. And if that makes you nervous, it's not risk capital, in my view. Raghee should be with us soon. Stand by for another excellent interview brought to you by Dale Pinkert at Forex Stop Hunter. Stand by. Euro coming out of the hole. Crude trying to sell off. Waiting for Raghee. Here we go. Hello, Raghee. Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us today. Very nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you too.
Yeah, I had a picture of you. I don't know what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, I didn't realize to grab my
Oh,
my
your
live
cam.
cam there. I'll have
Yeah,
to get rid
okay. It's fine to stay off camera. I
of
do
Okay.
it plenty during the session. And when you want to go to a screenshot, you just scroll
Okay.
up to the left-hand corner,
Yeah.
and you'll see a green box with an arrow.
Mm-hmm.
And when we start talking about a few instruments, you could share charts on your website. I read
Okay.
your bio, Raghee, and I believe
Cool.
I'm pronouncing your first name correctly.
You are. Absolutely.
Okay, great. So you started trading when you were 17 years old. And,
I did.
you
Yeah.
you know, I went to school in the middle of a cornfield, in Illinois, and I didn't know about the commodity markets until after college. Starting at that at that age, do you remember what positions you took home into your prom weekend?
I had actually well, actually, it's probably a pretty easy guess because my favorite markets back then were the least expensive with the most volatility. So I was in and out of markets like cocoa, sugar, orange juice. Those are the markets I was.
I remember those days. So I remember those days when you had 2-3 cent sugar and all the commodities were depressed. $2 corn, $3 wheat. A lot of people that are fairly new or have entered the business in the last 10 years, we had a chant in Chicago for a long time, beans in the teens, and
oh yeah,
remember that? That was a a cheerleading call from the floor of the Board of Trade, and that finally happened before the commodity bust out. And even with commodities being under pressure for a few years, grains are still almost twice as expensive as they used to be, and people are complaining about sub $3 copper, but I remember 50-cent copper.
I remember when those initial margins used to be a whole lot less. It's funny you mentioned grains. I had a play that I was hoping to take advantage of in coffee on an El Nino play, and I was being a little optimistic about it. And ultimately, the El Nino is basically going to help coffee, and it's going to hurt the grains. And yeah, you mentioned grains, and I'm thinking I need to be looking at those a little bit more and give the currencies a break.
So, I know that you've developed your own style, but early on, we're all out there looking for influences or, what fits our trading personality. We're all learning about technical analysis, different, million ways to skin a cat. Who influenced you early in your career?
Early Charles Dow, Richard Schabacher, those were definitely the books and that's what I got a hold of back then. It was 1988, 1989, and there really wasn't a lot by way of current conversation that I could go grab from my library. I believe I got my hands on Technical Analysis and Stock Market Profits, a stinky, tattered version of that, and there might have been another book, but that was really it. So charting was kind of how I anchored to the market. Okay,
so then you were pretty much self-taught, and do you agree with me that you can't learn experience? It only comes with the passing of time and living through things.
I think that, what do they say? A wise person learns from other people's mistakes. I'm certainly not wise, so I think the only way. Oh wow, look at this Dow breakdown. The only way that I was able to internalize the lessons was just to get in the market and get my hands dirty, and I think a lot can be said about just living the experiences and managing them. Luckily, I didn't have to suffer too many big losses early on when I didn't know any better. So I think a little bit of luck goes a long way too.
Okay, well, that's a great testimony. So get your hands dirty. And I know that you teach people now, Raghee. I talk about the fact that people really shouldn't go live with full-size accounts for 6 months, at least a year. Why should trading be any less difficult than getting a BS or a BA college education? And I don't want people to pay Ivy League tuitions to the market. But people do not take demo accounts seriously. So I tell people kind of a half step would be micro lots in FX for a period of time. So they take it seriously, because even if people have $10 at risk, they're going to take it more seriously than if they have nothing at risk. What do you tell your mentees?
I think, number one, I agree with you, and you said it far more eloquently than I'm about to say it, but what I tell traders is I never had a demo account. That wasn't something that I ever had. That wasn't even something I knew I had access to.
We had paper. We did it on paper, didn't we, Raghee?
And I didn't even have enough sense. When you're 16, 17 years old, you're invincible. So I don't need no stinking demo trade. I don't need any paper trading.
Yeah, I know. You know what I used to say?
Of the age.
Yeah, you know, people used to say, well, Dale, I've been paper trading for about 6 months, and I would ask them, well, what's the worst thing that could happen to you when you paper trade? And they would go, oh, I don't know. I said, well, you know, maybe you get a paper cut. So you're right. You have to have equity on the line because technicals are one thing, but once money's involved, it's all about psychology and emotions, isn't it?
Well, and I think that's why, if you go to Vegas and even if it's a nickel slot machine, even if it's a nickel, there's something real on the line. And I obviously, without real money on the line, you're missing out on 90% of the challenge that is, for sure, that is trading. So I've looked at demo trades as a way for people who say, well, you don't believe in demo trading. It's a great way to get to know the platform. And if that's the way I'm going to be executing my ideas into the market, I need to know the platform. But beyond that, you got to get even a limited amount, micro lots, mini lots. You need to get a little skin in the game to really get a feel for it. And I'm a big fan of really jumping, probably a little contrarian to most advice. I'm a big fan of just jumping into it. Once you have a system and once you know your platform, just do it because you're going to know pretty quickly if this is for you or not. Because, it's funny. This year I kind of woke up on the 1st and said, this year's about being a practitioner. This year's about just doing the things. You talk about teaching, and it's really easy to kind of slip into the teacher, guru side of things, right? But I want to be a practitioner. That's really what it is. Watch what I do, even more than what I say. Watch what I do, and I think I try to be as transparent with my YouTube channel or my Twitter feed as much as possible.
Okay, so part of you being a practitioner, and I read that you've authored 3 books. And one of your trading tools that you use is a 34 EMA. Mm-hmm. How did you come up with 34 being the EMA of choice for you?
Early on, I was exposed to just this notion of a 50% retracement without actually being told it was part of the Fibonacci retracement series. And when I started digging in a little bit more, I really just loved the mathematical beauty of not this trading tool called Fibonacci. I'm not a huge Fibonacci practitioner, but the natural law of expansion and contraction and numbers, and I had read Tesla when I was younger, and it all just kind of coalesced, and I thought there's got to be something magical in numbers. Now, before anybody thinks I'm wandering into the woo of trading, I learned to trade in a bubble. I had no contemporaries, no clubs, no groups. This was pre-internet, really. So everything was kind of in a bubble. It was very much...
What did you use? You updated your charts by hand? Did you use Commodity Perspective?
I actually
What was your chart book?
My chart book at first was my father's old engineering graph paper that I did by hand. Okay. And then eventually, I don't know if they're still here. They were about an hour. I live in South Florida. There was a place in West Palm called Commodity Price Charts, I think it was.
Oh yeah, sure.
And they'd mail me these giant. I'm sorry.
Did your charts have coffee stains and ketchup and mustard stains on it? I would carry mine around, and my friends would tell me when the markets weren't going my way to turn my charts upside down.
I would carry that every Monday. My mail carrier would come, and actually I'd befriended my mail carrier. So back then, she would come to my house quickly, really by 1st. So every Monday, I would just wait until that giant magazine of paper charts would come on this really thin, horrible paper. I would update them by hand, and then I became really sophisticated when I got a satellite dish, and this was kind of when DirecTV was still really new. I got a DTN dish.
I knew you were going to say DTN. Those things,
I thought I was so sophisticated.
Those things were gigantic. Those dishes.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Remember how big that dish was?
The dish was huge, and then the line that I had to run to the box that would give me my data, but I had real-time data because certainly now I was a real trader. That's when I made the jump from end-of-day charts to real-time data, and boy, what a learning lesson that was. More information isn't better. That's for sure.
I remember when I first started at the Merc, the most popular machine, and people would stand in line to use it, was VidCom, because that was the first thing that you got intraday and spreads and everything from that. They were kind of a pioneer in real-time technical analysis charts, and people used to line up to use it. I'd like to. I read in your bio. Can you tell us what a crab candle is? I see you have candles here, and crab candles are something that you teach and specialize in. Can you define it or show it to me what it is?
Sure, sure. So, yeah, I've got some charts up on my screen right now. I'm actually
Right.
watching the
We see
Dow. I
'em.
just shorted the Dow.
Okay.
You can see the screen there?
Yes.
So, GRAB, G-R-A-B, just stands for green, red, and blue. And, you know, I named these things when it was just me and back then my dogs, you know. It was as simple a name as I could call them. And they basically color-coded according to where the candle closed in relation to that 34 EMA that you referenced earlier. So that's all that it really did. It just gave me a different visual footprint for sentiment and momentum for each candle.
Okay, so red is negative, blue is neutral, and green is positive?
You got it.
Okay. So being a practitioner this year, why don't we swing to the markets, Raghee? I saw you got excited about the S&Ps and Dows selling off. It was the worst start in stock market history, even worse than '08 and the 30s. And all of a sudden the market came to life last week. They picked off some of the stops under 1810 in the S&Ps, and a lot of people are looking for levels to get short into. You think that the S&P rally and reflex recovery has run its course?
So the way I look at the markets is kind of Charles Dow 101, which is, you know, are we in accumulation, distribution, markup, or markdown? So we've basically come out of a daily downtrend, and I think we've officially entered chop now for about a minimum. That first blue grab candle back on the 16th would be kind of when I start to think about this market in transition. We've officially transitioned as soon as we get the green. This downtrend, this previous downtrend is transitioned. I think one of the bigger mistakes traders will make is they feel a broken downtrend is immediately this uptrend. So
that
when I
is
look
bullish.
at now, they would get, I think, presumptually bullish. What I look at is respecting the trend that was. In other words, the previous psychology, I think, is still probably the larger dominant psychology, despite the fact that we've bounced the way we have. Now, just to kind of take it aside here, as far as, you know, obviously a lot of folks would be watching are Forex traders. There are a handful of futures contracts that I think are really helpful to Forex traders to understand if they're trading certain individual currencies. There's no way I could trade the yen with the confidence that I do, minus understanding what's happening in the Dow. I'm not as big an S&P fan because of just the huge amount of tech weight in the top 10 weighted stocks in the S&P. I tend to, you know, focus on the Dow a little bit more. So I'm really looking at the Dow to understand the risk environment, what the carry trades may be doing, what the yen for sure is doing, things like that. But I think this is still a sellable market. I just think that, you know, navigating this kind of volatility means I'll probably retreat more often to a 5-minute time frame, and you know, we just triggered a short, which is, I think you probably guys might have heard Mike going, oh, we got the short trigger. So I'm short right now.
So do you trade on different time frames? And
I absolutely
what suits your personality the best, Raghee? Is it being flat at the end of the day, or are you like me that you can't relax over the weekend unless you have something to worry about?
I seldom worry over the weekends anymore, but I would have to say, and we talked about, you know, what you start trading when you first get into the markets. I still love end-of-day charts. I don't know that I've ever been as productive in terms of number of trades and then my return on that as when I just focused on the longer-term time frame. And I think just because we have access to intraday hasn't necessarily been productive to traders on a whole. I think my best trading is when I have a trend, and that daily chart is, to me, what reflects the broadest view of the trend. And if I can grab a hold of that, life is good. So that's probably my favorite. But, you know, experience has also taught me there are times when I don't trust the market, especially one in transition like the Dow is and a number of other markets. You know, I'm a great example of that lack of trust and maybe going short term is what's happening with the US dollar, the euro, and the Aussie for me. So
Right.
I'd
It's
like,
an I don't know. It's an I don't know, right?
it's an I don't know. And when I don't trust, to me, I go short term.
Okay. That's a pearl. That's a pearl. So you talked about who intraday charts are productive for. I think it's for brokers rather than performance. Pretty big believer that less is more. But I too look at hourlies and 4 hours. But I agree with you. The end of the day charts, having a telescopic view, and I'm interested that you talk about correlations that are helpful, and we know the yen is risk on, risk off. Anything else that outside of FX markets? I know I teach people to watch the crude market when trading USD CAD and the gold market for when they're trading the Aussie. And so there are some correlations with commodity currencies and commodities, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the first markets that I traded were commodity futures, so I have a real love for those. And the first time I traded currencies was in the futures market. So again, I have a soft spot for them. But I think you guys can see my quote board right now.
Yeah.
The first part of my quote board starts with the dollar. If you're going to trade the Forex markets, to me, looking at what the dollar's doing, and then on the flip side of that, kind of a larger version of what the dollar's doing would be the Euro US. I look at the dollar, Dow, I look at the Nikkei, so I understand what sometimes the yen has to serve two masters. Not always do the Nikkei and the US markets move in tandem. And when you have one look at the yen during the Asian session, because the risk environment is a little bit different than what's happening when you get to the U.S. markets, the yen tends to be pulled by two different, psychologies. So I want to keep an eye on the Dow and the Nikkei. I have the S&P and the NAS on that list right now because I do, and I still continue to believe that if we start to see true risk appetite hit this market, the FANG stocks, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, are going to probably lead the way. So I've actually been looking to the NAS and then the S&P and then the Dow to signs that we may really start shaking this risk aversion. I think I wrote an article
is the
back
Russell in there? Because the Russell actually in the
No, I
trend.
don't look at the Russell at all. Yeah.
Okay, and trannies either, because they topped well before the market sold off this year. You have
I do look
trannies
at
up there.
those. That's kind of a Charles Dow 101 as well.
Yeah.
And I have the transports down here. If you take a look where I have the. So I do look at the transports. Yes.
Okay, and you look at 10-year notes. I think there's a decent correlation with the bond market and U.S. dollar yen. Do you notice that?
Dollar yen and bond. I've been looking at the bonds probably more seriously now after the Chinese deval last August, and then again the action we saw in January. I've been looking at the 5-year, and I'm actually looking at the 5-year right now. I'm looking at it now because when the Chinese were raising funds, they were selling 5 years, so that kind of put the 5-year back on my radar. Yeah.
Okay, so you're in the camp that bond market, bull market that people said was the 30-year bull was dead last year. That there's at least one more hurrah, and that the move towards negative rates is going to be supportive of U.S. Treasuries?
I think if we look across the globe and ask ourselves where on earth are people's outflows out of China, where does that money land? I think it lands here in the U.S. Back on the 7th of January, I wrote an article from my Medium blog basically saying that when the dust settles, the U.S. market ends up being kind of the place for not just yield but safety. So I think those outflows out of China end up here. I think obviously parking money in a bank in Japan or Switzerland is a losing proposition. So gold, again, behaving like it is the currency of some make-believe country called Goldtopia, obviously benefits from that. And then I also think, where else do you put your capital to work when you can't stick it in a savings account? You end up with.
Okay, so we have this huge move in gold, and you're saying that it's parabolic. I actually think there could be a pullback towards 1100, even as deep as 1080. Do you call this a market in transition still, even after this big, almost $200 rally? Or is it a market that has showed its hand and any decent retracement should be accumulated.
Well, actually, it's funny. These notes were from a class that I did last week, and I actually don't like the terminology parabolic because to me it's got to be a quantifiable number. So I use something called price movement ranges to quantify what I think parabolic is. And if I start moving at the upper end of these historical price movement ranges for 2, 3, 4 days, I'll call the move basically accelerated, over accelerated, unsustainable. Yeah. I'm actually taking I would like to see this thing pull back to 1165, 1155, and I'll step in and buy some gold. But some of the shallower corrections to say 1200 or 1180, I'll actually stick my toe in the water with some options in GC. With at least about 60 days to expiration, I'll hop in with a couple call options there. But the bigger position, I want a much more pronounced move down to my wave, my 34 EMA wave, which is the 34 EMA on the high, the close, and the low. I want to be in that area, which puts my buy, and I have a limit order right now just parked for 65 to 55 if we get that crazy day or a couple of days. Okay. So I'm a buyer. I'm a buyer.
That's a belief. Okay, now there's someone with conviction and belief in their numbers. Leave a resting order in there. Kind of throwing the fish, throwing your fishing line out into the middle of the lake and see if the fish comes to bite it. And that tells me how much conviction you have in your areas, and because a lot of people don't have the courage to put in resting orders like that.
I'm a GTC kind of girl, So if I can park an order, and I try not to use market orders. I try to really just utilize those conditional orders when I can. And what I'm able to do is I'll just go back and revisit the list of pending orders that I have. And, that number may be, if we were to talk in a month, that number may be, 50 to 55. So I would just modify the order, and that's it. And that just keeps me on top of what it is that I want to engage, and I'll just modify, unless the environment has changed enough to invalidate the trend follow strategy that I want to use, in which case then everything gets canceled.
I got a question from the community from MRC. Would you be willing to share your view in the Nikkei?
Of course.
Is that similar to what's happening here in S&Ps, transitional?
The Nikkei actually, and I was just talking about it this morning in my chat room, the downtrend in the Dow is broken. So what I'll basically do is I'll continue to look for Nikkei shorts, but I'm going to do so with smaller size because I talked about earlier, sometimes the yen's got to serve two masters. Well, on one hand, we're probably seeing a little bit more yen weakness with the risk appetite here in the U.S., but on the other hand, the Nikkei is still very much in a downtrend. So, when we get over into the Asian session, we see a little bit more yen strength with that risk aversion.
The pattern looks incomplete when I look at it. I don't know if you remember a guy named J.R. Hill, but I've been kind of become known for teaching people 3 drive formations, and it looks like we have 2 there. So to me, it looks incomplete. So maybe the Nikkei can make a new low, and we get a higher low in the Dow and S&Ps, and then they all rally together.
And, I'll definitely, I guess I'm having a hard time really wanting to get too bullish in equities. Probably 2 things. A little bit is just letting go of what was working so well. I spent most of January and February shorting the Dow with, glee. And then now, there's the pig in the head, and I was talking quite a bit about this. There's the pig in the head saying, what do you mean it's over? What do you mean we can't short this? Don't you remember all the fun we had? So, there's always that struggle. So what I did to shut the pig in the head up is yesterday I bought a few puts on the Dow. I bought some June puts on the Dow, and now what it does is it frees up more bandwidth for me just to go ahead and manage some older calls that I have based upon a weekly oversold market, and then just day trade the Dow and take it session by session, be very nimble about it. So that's how I've kind of satisfied this urge to want to be short, to manage an existing position with some calls based upon the weekly, and just do what I need to do session by session on the daily. and really focus on the day trading aspect of it.
That's a great point. Thank you so much for that. Raghee, you said that we're in an I don't know or transitional or neutral pattern in the euro and the dollar. Are there any lines in the sand that would give you an idea for direction of where we come out of this and where there could be something meaningful to either side? To me, in the Dixie, it looks like we have to get back above 98.50 to arrest this recent break that we've had, and for now I'm giving the downside the benefit of the doubt. How are you seeing the dollar and euro here?
Sure. Just let me touch on the person who asked about Nikkei, just so you guys know where I have resting orders. I'm looking at that. Well, I'm going to be rolling out of the March contract here pretty soon, but take a look at where the 20-period simple moving average and the 34 EMA low are, and that's pretty much where I'm looking to short the Nikkei. As far as the dollar index goes, you know, all my cards on the table, I do have still a small short position in the dollar, and I have a small long position in the euro US. So that kind of tells you, you know, where I'm looking. However, I also know that my timeline is between now and the early part of March, because here comes Draghi, here comes the ECB, and what is he going to do on March 10th? And is he going to actually, you know, the bazooka that he's been known to use and blast some stimulus? We haven't believed him. You know, he's burnt us a couple times on jawboning the currency lower and then delivering the minimum in terms of increased asset purchasing, in terms of deposit rate cuts, etc. So he's disappointed the euro bears, and I think a lot of them really had to come off that 114 handle just to accept the fact that Draghi may disappoint. But I think the closer we get to March 10th, the less the dollar becomes the driver of its own fate, and now it becomes that inverse tight correlation between what is Draghi going to do. Stimulus means weaker euro, stronger dollar, or him disappointing means stronger euro, weaker dollar, and then at the same time I've been jumping out and taking a look at Fed fund futures so I don't lose the grip on the narrative as far as the Fed and what the dollar may do in relation to that. And I'm actually long Fed fund futures, so that tells you I'm not really looking at a rate hike
you think
this year.
Do you think the Fed is one and done, Raghee?
I try to think less about what Raghee thinks and more about what Raghee sees. And so when I look at Fed fund futures out into June, when I look at Fed fund futures out into September and even the DEES contract, I realize that there's very little reason for me to look at these contracts and say that the market's expecting any kind of hike so far this year. And even if I go out and look at the probability percentages, you know, when we hiked in December, that probability was up in the mid-80s to 90s for a while. And while we have some decent probability percentages on that CME tool that you can get, I think it's called Countdown to the FOMC tool, there's just nothing convincing there. And I've been actually, I just put on a couple swing buys on Fed fund futures long. Just that's the direction, and suggesting no hike this year. Yeah, so that's where I sit.
Anything that we should be aware of going into this election season? Any kind of patterns that happen going into an election that you're aware of? And will you be attending any Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, or Donald Trump rallies in Florida?
Oh my gosh! You know, I think I don't care who we elect; they just get crunched into the meat grinder that is D.C. I really have zero interest in politics. My political party affiliation is capitalism. That's it. So, and I don't think any of them support that in any meaningful way. But you know, here's the thing. To me, there are seasonal cycles, and I can look at the seasonals, and you know, obviously, depending upon who's leading in the polls, I'll see what the market has to say about that. But I'll probably still see, I'm hoping this is not the case, but I just kind of accepted on January 1 this is going to be one of those really choppy, directionless, kind of just volatility, Dramamine kind of years, and I want to just be as nimble as possible and not look for longer-term organization, because I'm still not seeing it. I don't think we're going to have those monster trends we saw through 2014, even through some of 2015. And as long as I've accepted that, I'm not looking for it, and I won't be disappointed if it doesn't show up.
So do you think that the Super Bears they're talking about extreme numbers, but some of the moderate bears are looking for 1550 or so on the S&Ps. Once we crack 1800, that could be a pretty good trend to ride, don't you think? That if we get a failing rally here back up towards 2000 in the S&Ps or the Dow back at that, I think he had about a 17,000 level.
I've never really subscribed to the whole notion of not respecting each rung on the ladder. I think what happens a lot of times in terms of the markets is we get out ahead of different stories, and I find what's tricky, and I apologize for whatever that is in the background. I find what's so tricky about calling out something that might be, in this case, 400 points away. There's a way we get there. I mean, we could get there the scenic route. We could get there with a tremendous amount of organization. I just want to respect each rung on the ladder. And anyone who does have these larger narratives, my big thing is build a trade like Hollywood builds a blockbuster. And there's a very clear formula that Hollywood uses to build a story that they feel that we could really attach to and follow and want to watch again and again. So I kind of look at it as a trade story. So when someone gives me a narrative, gives me a number, I say, what's your narrative behind the number? How do we get there? What are the headlines reading like? What has to happen in these specific places for that narrative to be believable? Because until that narrative's believable, we're not going to act. So, I do break my trades down in almost a 7-part script writing process, because until that narrative's believable, we're not going to see the action behind it, the conviction. And so I don't really have a narrative past the chop,
Talking about blockbusters, Raghee, this interview was a blockbuster. And really, I'm so glad that I reached out to you and you said I'll be your huckleberry. I think I've asked you a few times before to come and join us here on FX Street, but talking to you is like taking me back to the old days at the Merc and talking with contemporaries that were around in the 80s and 70s, and even though you're much younger than me, you really have such a great grasp on the psychology and the technicals and the fundamentals. What's the best way for people to stay in touch with Raghee Horner? You could show your website. I know your Twitter handle is @Raghee Horner. What's the best way for people to stay in touch with this type of elite analysis?
Well, first of all, thank you for sticking with me. I kind of went underground for a little while, and I kind of popped back up about 3 years ago and started teaching again. And so thank you for your patience. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you. I cannot believe I put this off as long as I did. So
one of the best interviews I've ever done, Raghee, and I've done, I don't know, 300-400 in the last 2.5 years or so. So, I rank it up there in the top 5. So I hope that we'll have a chance to do this again down the road.
Oh, 100%. I've so enjoyed this. So if you guys want to know what I'm up to, Twitter's a great place to keep up with what I'm doing. But my hangout is simplerforex.com. So if you ever want to come check out what I do, it's simplerforex.com. But first start off with the Twitter. I think finding someone who's going to teach you how to trade is really about finding out whether or not you're simpatico, whether you're kind of wired the same. So a good way to kind of find my wiring would be follow me on Twitter or just get my free newsletter at simplerforex.com. It's a really easy way. I've got a blog there too. So kick the tires, check it out. And again, I really appreciate the time. This really made my morning. I enjoyed the heck out of this.
All right. I want an autographed copy of one of your books. To put it on my shelf.
I got one on the shelf here.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Raghee. I hope you don't mind, but from now on, you're now my trading warrior sister. Thank you for edifying our community today.
Humbling. Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much.
All right, Raghee. Good hunting. Everyone thank Raghee Horner for her sharing some great pearls and platitudes and ideas. Okay, Raghee. See you soon.
Take care.
All right. Okay, everybody. I believe there's someone on deck behind me. Is that correct, Adinda? Another show coming up. So, okay. You're welcome, Shark. I'm glad you enjoyed. So So I didn't want to cut this interview short. Let's just do a quick recap here because I'm so glad it's recorded. You guys are going to want to listen to that one again. So Euro USD, we've had the second drive and we're coming out of here. So I still think that there's potential for another rally and maybe one more shot down, but this is not an area to be short. USD CAD should get a lift with the way crude's coming apart. Back over 138 is going to take you up towards 141. I am still looking to buy this break in crude. I got out last Thursday and felt like a genius, and then we recovered into the close on Friday. And I still think before we see new lows in crude, there's a break to buy. So it's on my watch list. I'd like to see him clean out some stops, maybe like Ali says, back down towards this 31 level, and then we get our rally back towards 37, 38. So I want to thank everyone individually for all their great contributions today. We had a lot of great looks from the community. Thank you, Artem, Sinatra, Shark, welcome to Lar, Adinda, Solo, Abel, Sirik, Timbo, J, Ali, Mashari, Tozen, MRC, Flash, Mystic, Doug, Chris, Ricardo, thank you so much, buddy. Jax, Forex Stop, Hunter, SW, Jake, Roland, Malcolm, FX John, JM, Alien, Ziggy, Tico, Joe, Risk, Pegasus, Matthew, Stephen, Ray, BW, Carlos. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be back with you tomorrow. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. And I'll see everyone tomorrow. Adios.